Guten Tag, my name is Sorella Moore and welcome to this Finance and Freedom channel. It is no secret that the human mind is easily programmed with the information that it absorbs on a daily basis. What most people don't realize is that when it comes to finances, you are playing a rigged system. You are literally being programmed to stay poor. In this video, I'm going to talk about the main 3 problems I see when it comes to this kind of mental programming, which will hopefully make you understand the problem better so that you can make the right changes. If you're new here, please make sure that you subscribe, and if you get value from this video, it would be amazing if you could hit that like button. Also, we have an amazing newsletter that I think you will love, so check that out, link in bio. And we have just launched the pre-sale of our course membership combo. If you would like to get lifetime access for a huge discounted price for being an early supporter of this channel, please check out the link in the bio for a course on all things finance freedom, global structures, and so much more. I am a huge believer that mindset is one of the biggest things when it comes to success. People that mope around complaining all the time with the wrong mindset, they're not destined to succeed as much. But mindset isn't everything. I personally have a really big problem with gurus, teachers telling you just to focus on your mindset and then you'll become successful, rich. Things like believe that you're going to be rich and then it's just going to come to you. Yes, you need big dreams. Yes, you need visualization and manifestation work. And yes, I do believe that you have to work on your mindset. But having the mindset without any action, plan, or knowledge behind it is basically meaningless. The reason I'm starting this video in this way is that yes, this video is about mindset, and it is important to understand that there are potentially things that are working against you because you've been specifically programmed to think and act a certain way. And yes, I do believe that if you want to achieve real success, you need to work on your mindset to ensure that it fosters success on an unconscious level. But I do want you to understand that even though the majority of the best performing videos on this channel are about mindset and the habits to help you become successful, that really is just one tiny part of the puzzle piece. But with that disclaimer out of the way, I do think that this is going to be one of the most important videos that I release on this channel because I do believe that most of us from birth have been programmed to stay poor. So in this video, I'm talking about the 3 main ways of how we are being programmed in today's society for scarcity and how we are being programmed every single day for lack. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some tactics of what has worked for me in order to reprogram my mind, and maybe it's helpful also for you. So let's get into it. Number 1, we are programmed at school to be workers. Unfortunately, a lot of the ways that we are programmed to be poor, or at least programmed to stay in a certain economic class, comes down to the modern education system. I am just going to focus on how this relates to your own finances. In most countries in the world, the national schooling system is built of very similar foundations. Most people don't realize that the way that we go to school today is based off a few changes that happened in Germany 200 years ago. When we started automating tasks and producing products during the Industrial Revolution, the world needed people that would man these machines and factories that were popping up all over the globe. But they didn't just need people. They needed people that would follow orders, that were agreeable, that would be told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and just execute those tasks in the factories. And at that time, formal education was reserved only for the super rich. But someone in Prussia, which is the modern day Germany, had the fantastic idea of setting up what is called factory schools. Education was provided by the government for free, and all children could learn in a regimented and controlled way with the intention of producing as many drones as possible in order to man the machines during the Industrial Revolution. Now, if you've never heard of this concept and you just think I'm some crazy lunatic YouTube lady, let me turn you to an expert. I'm going to read you a quote from the Northwestern University economist Joel Merker, who talks about factory schools. Much of this education, however, was not technical in nature, but social and moral. Workers who had always spent their days working in domestic settings had to be taught to follow orders, to respect the space and property rights of others, be punctual, docile, and sober. The early industrial capitalists spent a great deal of effort and time in the social conditioning of their labor force, especially in Sunday schools, which were designed to inculcate middle-class values and attitudes so as to make the workers more susceptible to the incentives that the factory needed. So yes, the government did provide free education, but the desired outcome of that was just to create these drones that would say, yes sir, no sir, turn up on time, fulfill the orders, and just man these machines. It wasn't giving education to educate, it was giving education to these meat machines that would in turn run these metal machines. The process of state-sponsored schooling to turn people into factory workers was quickly rolled out by the rich industrialists across North America and Europe. And once the United States adopted this, soon the rest of the world followed. The system didn't want free thinkers or financially rich people. The education system wanted to program these people to do nothing more than fill the mundane jobs in society. This is why they were never taught to critically think, to provide value for society, to manage their finances. They were taught to follow orders and fit into a box. And unfortunately, this is the exact same schooling system that we still have today. During the most formative years of your life, if you go to any traditional school, you are educated or programmed in a very specific way. At schools today, there is no focus on critical thinking. In most schools in the developing world, there is no education pushing children into entrepreneurship or creating products or services when they leave school. And almost without fail, the education system does not touch on anything related to finances. Managing your finances, growing your wealth when you're outside of school, mastering your finances, mortgages, tax, nothing. Sure, lots of jobs have changed since the Industrial Revolution, but the education system still is creating employees and paycheck to paycheck workers. Get an education, maybe go to college, get a good job, stay at that job for the rest of your existence, be an asset to somebody else's company, retire, then die. This is how most of us are being programmed. So no wonder so many people are finding it really hard to break out. I want to be a little ray of sunshine and say that I do not believe for a split second that teachers are bad. The majority of them have the right intentions at heart. They want to do good, but they themselves have been brought up in a system that is outdated and it just doesn't fit the world's needs anymore. Luckily, there is a small percentage of us that has gone through that education system and was able to come out on the other side and still break out and think critically. That's me, that's you, because you're watching this video, and it's up to us to become examples that the old system just doesn't work anymore. Number 2. Belief programming. The second major way that I see that we are being programmed to be poor is because of our beliefs. And there are 2 ways that this can happen for the most part. For some of us, it was because we were surrounded by specific people, perhaps parents that were arguing about finances. For others, it was hearing family members speak poorly about anyone that did have money. And for some, it was growing up in communities that were struggling, their family was struggling, or they were living in poor neighborhoods. Most people that grow up in an environment like this are programmed from birth to have a negative connotation when it comes to finances and anyone that has finances. Biologist Dr. Bruce Lipton talks heavily about the situation that children were brought up in, the environment that they had when it came to money and how that shapes your future. So if you've been brought up from a young age to believe that money is evil, money makes people evil, money causes problems, money is hard to come by, chances are you have that programming in your subconscious still in your adult life, and that can be quite hard to change. Dr. Lipton also requotes the famous philosopher Aristotle, who says, "Give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man." Basically, he means show me how this child was raised up until the age of 7, the formative years of that child's life, the programming that it experienced, and most likely that will dictate how that person will act or live out the rest of their lives. In my opinion, this is very true when it comes to how people think about finances, money, success. Most people have a negative connotation when it comes to these topics, and a lot of them don't know where this came from. Oftentimes, it is because of the situations that they were brought up in. Think of it this way. If you were born into a poor community and everybody around you was poor, chances are that this is the only reality that you know and only reality that you believe that you can also have for yourself. And this is why, statistically speaking, people from poor communities tend to live out their lives in poor communities, not just because they have much less access to opportunities, because they can't mentally imagine a different way of existing. Being poor, living in lack may be so imprinted into your childhood mind that it's made its way into the subconscious belief system that rules you and rules most likely your financial life. The first thing to understand is that that is not your fault. And just because a situation was a certain way, it doesn't mean it has to continue. It can be changed. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later in the video. The other part of being kept poor by belief I see comes from the media. We're talking books, TV, movies. Let's look at TV and movies. I'm sure that you've seen the trope of the evil rich person before. It might be the evil king or queen that is filthy rich. It might be the billionaire supervillain. In cartoons, the evil person, Cruella de Vil, Scrooge McDuck, or Robin Hood. Steal from the rich, give to the poor. No matter what format, you've probably seen it. There are tropes that exist so much in the media that show the rich person as evil, and then the heroes are fighting against these rich, evil people, and they're just poor or normal, middle class, low class. Something like Spider-Man's noble Uncle Ben, he's not rich, but at least he's honest. There are endless examples of this in the media that shows that whoever is rich has definitely manipulated someone or cheated or lied or stolen this money. Yes, we do have some contrary examples like the rich superhero Tony Stark, but the vast majority of the narrative in fantasy is making rich people out to be evil. And if you've been watching this stuff from a very young age, absorbing it, because of course we love to watch cartoons and movies, if you've been absorbing all of this into your mind space, do you not think that it's programmed your mind at all? I personally think so. I'm not saying that you have to turn off your TV and news and read all the best books in the world at all times, but I don't think it's like the worst idea for a while, to be completely honest. But I think what's more important is being aware when you watch these type of videos, these type of movies. If there is a negative connotation around finances and is trying to squish anyone down that has riches and make them out to be a bad person, you just need to be very conscious that that is happening and ensure that you override it and you don't actually believe that. Don't allow that to come into your mentality and into your subconscious. Number 3. Most people are poor by design. This may be the most difficult part of the video for people to hear, but the truth is that the majority of the population is designed to be poor. And it's mostly the design of the systems that we live in. And this rigged system revolves around unchecked capitalism. Now, before I get further into this, I'm not saying that capitalism is all bad. Capitalism, in my opinion, can actually be really great. The wealth that nations generate from capitalism allows countries such as Norway, Iceland, Australia, and many more to provide social services for the population, healthcare, great infrastructure. Capitalism creates opportunity and the ability for the people to create something of themselves, create something from their lives instead of just being stuck in the situation that they were born in. Capitalism allows us to give ourselves the things that we truly want in life. So no, I don't think capitalism is all bad. There are absolutely amazing aspects of it, but unchecked, it can create a lot of drama, it can create a lot of pain, and it can keep people poor. Let's look at companies, giant companies that are able to advertise to you indiscriminately with very little regulation. Every day, in and out, advertising, doom, 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 trying to drain your wallet as much as possible. Capitalism allows some of these companies to use psychology, your emotional triggers, your hardwired genetic impulses to override your rational thinking so that they are able to sell more. Capitalism allows banks to give worse terms, lower interest rates, higher fees to those already at the bottom of the economic ladder, keeping those people stuck in that position. Capitalism allows companies to pay their workers less than living wage so that the people have to get multiple jobs in order just to make ends meet. And this cycle programs a segment of the population to stay exactly where they are. Let's look at Amazon, for example. Companies like Amazon have marketing and advertising budgets that are through the roof that your mind and willpower will find very hard to compete with. Every year they spend millions upon millions of dollars trying to find out ways of making you put that product in the shopping cart and press buy. These mind experts and these advertising agencies have an endless amount of money that they can use in order to figure out what it is that makes you tick, how to make you want more. They have people specifically figuring out how to make the algorithm work in order for you to want more and keep buying. You are literally having your mind hacked in those moments, and every single year their processes are getting better and better and better because they have to meet the goals of the company, meet the goals of the shareholders, satisfy the shareholders. So whatever expense it comes at your life, at your mastery of finances, they don't care. They don't want you to save. They want you to spend. We've been programmed from the youngest age, just spend, spend, spend. Do not save your money. That's saving money is evil and it's dumb and you should live in the moment and rejoice. Everybody is stuck in this perpetual cycle of keeping people poor and just living paycheck to paycheck. We are all susceptible to this. I don't know many people that are able to escape this route very, very easily. We do want to all naturally look our best, but does that involve buying the latest and greatest things and then being bombarded with too much stuff and living under a pile of things that don't actually make us happy? Obviously, it's very easy for me to just sit here and say, just don't buy the latest and greatest things. But we are constantly being bombarded with these multi-billion-dollar companies that know you better than you know yourself sometimes. It's like you're trying to fight a dragon with a hot dog rather than a shield and a sword. It's super hard, but it's bringing that consciously to your awareness, making you realize that you are fighting a really big uphill battle in order to say no to the things that you are told that you need. So what can you do? I know a lot of the things that I shared are probably quite heavy and it might feel like it's impossible to get out of this trap, but it's making you aware that there are a lot of things working against you. It's systematic, and unless the systems are completely broken down and rebuilt from the bottom up, things aren't gonna change. So what can you do? I'm not pretending I'm a psychologist or a self-help guru. No. We all have our own limitations. We come from different backgrounds, our own challenges, our own programming. Things are very different, but I'm going to give you some things that have worked for me, and then also Leon has provided some tips of what has worked for him. Previously mentioned in other videos that when I was young, that my parents played Tony Robbins in the car or Robert Kiyosaki for me. We didn't have the ability to listen to music very often. Sounds pretty intense. I don't know. It made me think different. It rewired my brain, and I was constantly thinking of success or problem solving or creating value, of creating wealth. I don't think I had the average normal thoughts that most people have at this stage. My surroundings, even though we weren't physically, we didn't have the wealth, the mindset of my parents and what they wanted to instill in us was abundance and beauty and opportunity everywhere. And you know, these Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, these tapes that we used to play had a huge impact on my upbringing, I believe. Now, I can't say that you can go back in time and ask your parents to play Tony Robbins or Robert Kiyosaki in the car. Of course not. But instead, you can start today in reprogramming your mind for wealth and success. Let's take Leon's upbringing now. He grew up with amazing parents. They lived off the land. They grew their own food. They're complete hippies. So he definitely wasn't listening to any Tony Robbins or Robert Kiyosaki. Parents aren't capitalists. They didn't program him from a young age for success. Leon spent the majority of his youth listening to Frank Zappa, David Bowie, Tracy Chapman. But at the age of 20, he decided to do something about this. He started to reprogram his mind at that stage, seeking out people that would help rewire his brain for success because he had a strong urge to become successful and financially free. And by the age of 22, he read nothing else and he listened to nothing else except for these teachers that helped him improve his mindset. By 23, he set up his own company. By 24, he made over $1 million in sales. By 25, he was a marketing consultant to some of the biggest brands in the entire world. He started very consciously changing the things that he was absorbing into his own mind, and within a few years, he changed from being a soldier in the Australian Army to becoming a self-made millionaire. So this is just another take to show you that you don't have to have this in your childhood. You can do this for yourself at any stage in your life. You need to very consciously choose what it is that you put into your brain and catch those really awkward thoughts that are stopping you from progressing, remembering that these things came into place because it was programmed into you by someone else, or they were there to protect you, but you need to keep them in check. I will stress here though, very carefully, that we didn't just change our mindset and poof, voila, here's the success. We took very specific, important action towards our goals. We had to take action. You cannot simply just change your mindset and then everything changes. You need the skill sets in order to execute this as well. So mindset is so important. It's at the core of everything you do. It can completely destroy everything that you're working for, self-sabotage you. It is a thing, but it does not go anywhere unless you have the skills to back that up and the action and the willingness to push through the challenging situations and execute on your plan. So take a note of what it is that you're feeding your brain. Is it that you're spending a lot of time around people that say money is evil, money is not good, you should stay away from people that have money? Maybe, potentially, spend a little less time with those people or just steer away from those conversations. Are you watching a lot of movies where the rich people are evil? Maybe turn that off for a little while. Perhaps it is that there are some traumas around finances. Maybe you've had a really bad time with finances. Someone stole money from you. Your parents that were destroyed over finances. You had a lot of fighting in your family because of finances. This is something that has to be addressed and looked at because it is programming your subconscious mind. Give yourself a 12-month challenge. Just see what happens if you change the things you input into your own mind. From scarcity into abundance. From lack into opportunity. It could be teachers. It could be audiobooks. It could be podcasts. Feed your brain with great things that are advancing you. Turn off the freaking TV that is draining you and wasting the only thing that is really important in life, which is time. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be spending a lot of money on these teachers, audiobooks, digital programs, whatever it is. You really don't need to be doing that. If the money is tight, a lot of these things come for free online. There are lots of resources. There's lots of resources you can turn to. I am going to say wholeheartedly, hand on my heart, when I didn't have much cash, I actually spent the majority of my cash full on education. Online education, seminars, coaches. I spent so much money there because I knew that no matter how much money I spent on that, it was going to come to me tenfold in knowledge, because knowledge is power, knowledge is education. No matter if everything's stripped from me, I will always have the knowledge. You cannot take the knowledge from me. I just want to say, you don't have to pay for anything. Absolutely not. Start with the free stuff. Just start with that. But if there's a temptation to just follow the Joneses and just buy the latest and greatest things, get yourself so severely into debt, just reconsider. Is this really what you want? Is this getting you closer to your goal? Because if you're watching this video, you do want to be financially free. Make success and financial abundance your new state. Take action. At some point, education is really nice, but a lot of people freak out at the point of action and they don't take the steps in order to execute. You can have knowledge, but wisdom is when you execute and it becomes part of you. So absolutely take those steps as well. But this video was to just remind you that there are some forces working super strongly against you in order to keep you poor. You have been programmed in today's society to stay exactly where you are, not save any money, not advance yourself in this way. So one of the greatest and most rebellious ways in society is to be successful, in my opinion, in order to break through the expectations of who you're meant to be. Yes, some people have a starting block better than others. This is absolutely true, but it doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. But be aware that there are things really trying to keep you where you are. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like and comment. It will be immensely helpful for us in order to get the message of finance and freedom out to the world, a human right that we believe. Also, we have the mailing list, and if you wanted to get access to the big discount of our lifetime, access to our course membership combo, link in the bio for that, and I will see you in the next one.